All right, so this is 8-92, but we're drawing it in a different method to demonstrate that oftentimes you can create the same part. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So when you're getting ready to start a part, you kind of just take a few minutes and think about how do you want to do this, and try to think about which would be the easiest that would ultimately have the least number of steps down here in your history bar. So this time I'm going to do it with the method that I've been doing before with my rectangles. So I'm going to do the side view and extrude it. So here's my second rectangle. So as always, I got to snip those extra lines there. And where else do I need to snip? See right down here, 2 lines. So let's snip that one. And let's come up here to, where'd my extend go? Oh, over here. Extend. Okay, so everything looks good there now. So now let's put my dimensions on here. Create dimensions. So this, I know across the bottom should be 2.55. And we never quite figured out what the top was supposed to be. So let me remember, what did we do here? I think that was 1.5. I don't remember what I did. Let's say 3. Actually, let me just come see what I did. Let's inspect, measure. Let me try that again. Give me the whole surface. And I want that line. Line right there. There we go. 2.5. Okay. All right. So we'll make that 2.5. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Drag that back up there. I create dimension. Let's do, oh, see how I already had it blue before I hit dimension. So I hit escape a couple of times. Escape is my best friend ever. All right, so I want that line, which is about, let me see, that is 0.25. And this one is 0.45. Okay, so there's my rectangle. Hit escape. Select the surface. I'm going to rotate just a little bit here. Hit escape again. Oh, too many times. Select my surface, solid, extrude. 3.55 is how far I need to come out. So there's the start of it. So you can kind of see where I'm going here. I think what I'll do is go ahead and cut off those pieces there now. Oops. So escape. Now I'm going to draw a sketch on this surface, because now what I need to do is cut a circle and whack this piece off right here. So let's draw a circle in here. And at the same time, let's go ahead and draw a line. Snap it from there. And I'll be sloppy. I'll come over here and be sloppy. So I can do the constraints again. So constraints, perpendicular. I want this line to be perpendicular to that line. Okay, so I got a nice clean line there now. Now let's dimension. From here to here should be 2 inches. And my circle should be 1.5. Doesn't quite look right. And then I'm supposed to be from the center to here. Here should be 1 inch. And from the center to here should be 1 inch. And I think those are all my dimensions. So I'm going to hit escape. Rotate just a hair. Escape again. All right, so now I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut this surface and this surface. So I hold down the shift key so I can get them both. Hit solid, extrude, drag them back. Okay. Okay. And there I go. So I think that should be correct. So now it's up to you guys to decide which one of these two methods is easiest. But as long as we're on this one, I'll show you a couple of advanced features, which my zoom bar is in the way. My save. Let me save this first. 8-92. Now I'm going to save it again. I'm going to do save as. Save the same thing twice, but this time on this one, I'm going to make a few changes. This is not part of the homework, but I'm going to show you some fun stuff. Fillets, when you're making parts for your robot, you want to do fillets because sharp corners and edges will send the judges into quibbies, and besides that, sharp corners make parts that break really easily. So I like to fillet things. So let's just say, I don't really like the squareness of this. I want to round those two. So I'm going to pick, see how that line went dark right there? So I'm going to pick that line. See how I now have the arrow? Let me rotate a little bit so you can see it. So basically I can drag the arrow in and round the surface as much as I want. We could have done this on the other one to get those rounded corners too. So I'm going to round that one. And that looks kind of awkward, so let's go ahead and round the other side. So I have to select plus. Actually, let's just hit OK. And let's just put another one in. Modify that one. Maybe I don't want to go as far. We'll be asymmetric just to be weird. And you can change the amount right there if you want. Okay, these sharp corners down there, that will cause the part to break very easily. So you always want to fill it around those. So let's select that. And there you go. When it's blue, you know you selected it. Hit the shift key and select another one. Now I've got two, so let's drag that up a little bit. Hit OK. Now I have a nice filleted surface there, which will be less likely to break. Okay, but you know, sharp corners, judges don't like those, so let's take care of those too. So let's fill it. Let's take this corner. I'm going to rotate around. I'm going to hold down the, we'll save that one for later. I'll come over here to this one. Hold down the shift key, select that one, rotate. If it's still doing that, if you've got the atom, the orbit symbol, hit escape. Don't hit it too many times, you'll lose all your surfaces. So shift, pick that one. So now I have 3 edges selected. So now I don't want to fill it a whole lot, just enough to take off those sharp corners. So I'll do that and hit OK. By the way, if this gets in the way, you can just close that. You can always bring it back by hitting the little grid there. My screen is pretty small, so I like to do that. So that looks a lot different, but maybe a little nicer. There's still kind of a sharp corner back there. So let's do something else. Let's do another fillet. Let's pick, notice how this time the whole perimeter was picked. I only picked one edge, but it picked the whole perimeter. And let's also do this edge. And see, it says I have 27 edges picked. And let's see, what else should I pick? How about the inside of here? And maybe that one. I think that's just about every edge, isn't it? Looks like it. Okay, I'm going to hit escape very carefully once because I don't want to lose all my edges. This is going to be a very tiny fillet, just enough to knock off those sharp edges. So usually about 0.05. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Just enough to make it a nice, pretty rounded edge. And there you go. So that looks a little better. Now here's one tip. When you have it all printed, this is really nice. But on the other hand, if you have filleted corners like this, when they sit down on your 3D printing bed, oftentimes it'll put supports under those if those fillets are too big. and then you ended up with a kind of a nasty edge anyway. So oftentimes we will not fillet the edge that's down on the bottom for that very reason. Or if you do, don't put too big of a fillet. But on the other hand, where you expect there to be any kind of bending, you want to put a big fillet. Maybe this fillet isn't big enough. So I'm going to select it. And notice how when I select it, it comes and highlights down here on the history bar, which one I was doing. So I'm going to click on that, right mouse click, edit feature. And let's make these, oh, let's make them really big. I'll go as big as I can. You'll notice after a certain point, see the error that pops up. If I go too big, it says you can't get any bigger. You're running out of space, and then it just kind of goes back to nothing. So sometimes you'll find yourself kind of fiddling and playing with what's the biggest fillet I can make before I trigger an error message. So I'll do that. That's a very different looking part, but you know. I can't really say it's pretty, but anyway, so there are some advanced features. I was going to show you chamfer, but I got rid of all the sharp corners. Let's get rid of a fillet. I want to show you a chamfer. Let's get rid of that one. I changed my mind. I don't want that one anymore. Well, that's good because it didn't like it anyway. See how it went red? That means there's an error. So I'm going to right mouse click on it and delete it. That was one of the ones down there. I guess it got overwhelmed. So that's that fillet right there. So let's right mouse click, delete it. All right, now I have a sharp corner again. Sometimes you might want to fillet. You don't want a rounded corner. You just literally want to chop it off, chamfer it. So I'm going to come up to modify and pick chamfer. Move that out of the way. Put that surface right there. So now notice when I have the arrow, see what I get now? So that's kind of cool. I have the option here, equal distance, or I can choose 2 distances. So usually equal distance is great, it's the default. But you can pick 2 distances in case you might want to make it kind of uneven for some reason. Sometimes you need that feature. So there you go. It's a very odd looking part, but I'm sure it's useful for something somewhere. Ah, I lost a fillet back here, didn't I? Sometimes when you're putting fillets, you'll lose other fillets if it'll generate an error. So I think when I did this big fillet in front, I lost some of the others because there was an error. So let's fillet this one and this one and this one, that one, and that one, and that one. 0.05. Looks like I got them all. Oh, except for the edges on the outside of the hole. But anyway, you got the point. So play with that if you guys wanted to play with doing some fillets. But other than that, I think we got all the other parts. So Miss Crystal, you can stop the recording there.